The Taliban fighters have taken down the Afghanistan flag from the country's deserted presidential palace in Kabul. This follows Afghan President Ashraf Ghani fleeing the country as the Taliban fighters drew closer to the capital. In just 2 weeks, the Taliban rapidly advancing to take over 26 of the country's 34 provincial capitals. Meanwhile, thousands of Afghans fearful of Taliban rule have stormed the airport. Afeera Firdous is a political and defense analyst. She's based in Islamabad in Pakistan, and she joins us now. She's currently a non-research resident fellow at the Africa-Asia Dialogues. Afeera, thanks very much for your time on this Monday morning. Incredible developments overnight. Was this a surprising thing? Was it a surprising move to those of you who are tracking developments in Kabul, in Afghanistan, quite closely?
Yes, definitely. This is surprising. It's the most surprising and astonishing thing, at least I have seen in my whole life. Actually, the analysts who are working on these areas, for them, nobody had anticipated that Taliban would take over such a large territory in like over 1.5 months, yeah. only a very, very short period of time.
How?
So yes, it is very frustrating.
Afeera, how much of the US and NATO withdrawal is responsible for this action?
I guess for more than the element of responsibility with such prevalent conditions, the outcome could only have been delayed. The reasons being the U.S. did not exercise enough leverage over President Ashraf Ghani to prevent such an outcome, and neither did it formally take Afghan government and regional countries on board towards such an withdrawal.
I mean, if we look back to 1996, massive bloodshed when the Taliban took over the country, and I suppose that's the biggest fear now, that the Taliban will take Afghanistan back to that kind of rule.
Yes, this is actually a really genuine concern, given the manner of heavy-handed governance of Taliban rule from 1996 onwards. But Taliban themselves are propagating that they have changed what they were in 90s. And there is also outside consideration that Taliban seek legitimacy and recognition in international community. They are cognizant of the fact that this is conditioned with the fulfillment of the guarantees they have pledged to international community and Afghan people. And I guess failure to do so would result in very harsh, really very harsh political and economic outcomes for Afghanistan in the future.
A spokesperson for the Taliban on the BBC last night saying that there's going to be a peaceful transfer of power. They are awaiting a peaceful transfer of power. There will be no revenge on the people of Afghanistan, according to the spokesperson from the Taliban.
Yes, they have announced a general pardon for Afghan people, but I guess watching the footages of Afghan people running towards Kabul airport it's early this morning, and that have shown that the fear is still in common people's mind.
And I suppose, you know, we talked about the roads, the airports, and the border crossings. Mainly the airports, according to media reports, really flooded with people trying to leave the country. Yes. Reports as well of people trying to drive to the airport, eventually just abandoning their vehicles with the keys inside and yes. deciding to yes. walk to the airport. For those who want yes, to exactly. leave, are they able to leave?
Actually, the military, the diplomatic and military people, they are leaving right now, but I suppose there are very less chances for common people because there the visa process is stalled in many as many embassies have shut down their work in Kabul. So there are issues with visa processes right now.
So is there still room at this point for negotiating a political settlement?
Yes, actually, the outcome after Ashraf Ghani is fleeing from the country, one outcome certainly has been the formation of National Coordination Council, and Dr. Abdullah and Gulbuddin Hikmatyar are part of that council. And the council is basically mandated to deal with the government's tasks as well as the negotiation of peaceful transfer of power. It is still very early to predict the process of transition of power, but I guess one outcome could be the interim government, which may determine the allocation of power in different stakeholders.
Yeah.
On the other hand, council may also delegate or transfer majority of power to Taliban because they have upper hand on ground right now.
Yeah.
And ethnic representation of other Afghan ethnic minorities. But it is very important to understand that Taliban has not shown any willingness to be part of any kind of electoral process right now. And another possibility that is that the Taliban may summon Loya Jirga, which is Council of Leaders of Ethnic Groups, for domestic validation for their transfer of power.
I mean, $2.5 trillion spent on the Afghan war, the longest war fought by the U.S., and to what end?
Exactly. These are there are major concerns in the region regional countries as well. Like after such a huge loss of in economic terms, in human cost as well. So there are major concerns in regional countries as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Afeera Firdous, thanks very much for your time this morning. She joins us from Islamabad, Pakistan. She's a non-resident research fellow with the Africa-Asia Dialogues. Thanks very much indeed.